Hi guys, and welcome to a new episode of A Dog Soul. I'm Anita, I'm your host and a professional dog trainer. And today we're going to talk about resource guarding, what it is, why our dogs are doing that, and what you can do about it. So stay tuned and have fun. Alright, so this is a topic where a lot of people freak out a lot. So let's just try to analyze it from the dog's point of view and maybe a little objectively, as much as possible, of course. And first of all, resource guarding is something very natural, not only for dogs, but for everybody. It's like if you are in a supermarket and you filled up your shopping cart and you just leave it for a minute to get something else, and somebody is just stealing your shopping cart. You might tell that person to step away from your cart and be fine. And if that person doesn't comply, you might get a little more vicious and maybe take the cart from him or something like that. And that's nothing else than our dogs do. Of course, if you took some time to fill that shopping cart, you don't want to do it again. So it becomes important to you, and of course you will not let somebody just take it away. And for our dogs, same thing happens. So a resource can be anything. It can be a bowl, it can be a toy, it can be food, it can be a person, it can be something to chew on, something to lick, it can be a pea spot, it can be a stone, it can be anything. Of course, the most common one is chew toy and food, but a dog that tends to guard resources will always feel the need to guard resources as long as nothing changes. So if you only take away the bowl and feed your dog from a plate, for example, the chances are very good that he will guard that plate. Of course, the more insecure a dog is, the higher the chances that he will guard resources. And especially if he's insecure with whoever gets close to the resource. Because, of course, if you don't see somebody as a threat because you trust that person completely, you're not afraid that he will take something from you. And therefore, there is always some kind of level of insecurity involved. And yes, there are different stages of warnings and aggression when we're talking about resource guarding. Like most dogs just tense up a little bit in the beginning and then start growling and maybe snarling and then resolve to more desperate measures. And if we take them seriously, and if we see a dog growling over some kind of bone or chew toy or something like that, and we just take a step back and leave them alone, then of course they kind of get rewarded for growling, but that keeps them from taking any more serious actions like biting and stuff. So we actually do want our dogs to growl, because they're just telling us, hey, I'm uncomfortable, please don't come any closer. And why shouldn't we respond to that with giving them more space? There is no reason. Of course, we can work with our dogs and we can just train them to be comfortable with us closer to their resources. But in the beginning, taking a step back, taking a deep breath, calming down and just accepting it as it is always a nice start for those kind of things. And if you have ever met a dog who is so scared that he's not growling, he is accepting somebody closer and closer and closer because he has learned that he's not allowed to tell a person to go away, just to the point where he just cannot contain himself and he's lunging at the person and he's biting the person severely, you will know that every growling is a nice thing. And you can congratulate your dog for being secure enough to tell you no and to tell you that he needs more space. So there's always a little bit of taking it personally if we get growled on, we tend to take that personally and doubt everything about our relationship with the dog. But that's not necessary. It's actually not a bad sign if your dog's comfortable with telling you you're getting too close. And of course, you can show your dog that it's fine if you get in any kind of range to his resources. But that's a process. That's something he has to learn. It's not like he's born with that, so it's something you will have to show him. And for some dogs, that might actually take a while, and it might be necessary on various resources, and you have to do every resource on its own just to be sure. And for some dogs, it might just be that they are not comfortable with you taking his favorite toy out of his mouth. So yeah, every dog's very different. And the thing is, there are just a few things you should never do. One of them is to punish any kind of communication. So whenever the dog's growling or snarling or even snapping a little bit, do not punish that, because you just take away the communication. You don't change the feeling, and your dog will still be uncomfortable with you next to his resource. And if he cannot communicate that, he will just contain himself until it's no longer possible, and then he will explode. And of course, you don't want that. And the other thing is to ignore the communication. Some people still advise on staying in the moment and why ever, because some kind of imaginary hierarchy between dog and human, or some kind of imaginary dominance theory, and that's where it gets dangerous. So no ignoring and no punishment. It's very easy. You can do a lot of things that make your dog more comfortable, and if you're not sure what can help, get a trainer, get help. Of course, a force-free trainer, not a balanced trainer, and not a punishment-based trainer, which is kind of the same, but yeah. And of course, you can write me as well. I will be very happy to help you with that. And you can also send me a video and we can just talk about it. And yeah, it's kind of sometimes very, very difficult to train because it's very emotional for both sides. And of course, it's very hard to trust a dog that growls at you. I get that. But if you're keeping the distance at a comfortable level for your dog, there is actually no real trouble with resource guarding. And that's always something we should keep in mind while training. All right. Of course, if you have any questions, you can write me an email or WhatsApp, whatever's more comfortable for you. And I wish you a great week and a lot of fun playing with your dog and building up that relationship to something even more great. And we'll see each other next week. Bye.